The amount of pure greed we're seeing from gaming companies lately is unreal. Prices climbing, quality dropping, and loyalty being exploited. And it seems these trillion-dollar companies and their billionaire owners have no plans on stopping anytime soon. At this rate, gaming, which is one of the most immersive and enjoyable hobbies out there, might soon turn into something reserved only for the elite. Remember when gaming was affordable? You could work a 9 to 5, save a bit of money, buy a console, and enjoy the latest releases without breaking the bank, especially if you lived in a developed country. What we're witnessing in 2025 is a great shift in the gaming industry, where companies are pricing out the average gamer in favor of turning gaming into a pastime reserved for a wealthy few. Before we can break down why we're seeing this level of greed, let's run through some of this year's most shameless acts of greed. Let's start with Nintendo. Nintendo launches the Switch 2, valued at $450 with specs that barely beat the original. As for new games, that's gonna cost you a new industry high of $80 per game. Re-releases of decade-old classics, well, that's going to cost you $70. And if you try to use your device in a way that the company doesn't approve of, well, then they're going to remotely lock you out of your device, forcing you to buy another Switch 2. Now, I know Mario was the older brother, but who knew he was actually Big Brother this whole time? And then there's Xbox, raising prices of a 5-year-old console and blaming tariffs, while Microsoft's share price rises 27% in 1 year and is now valued close to $4 trillion. And now the ultimate version of Xbox Game Pass is going to cost you $30 monthly, turning the Xbox into the Xbox 360. $360 a year. Oh yeah, and you can't forget that they announced a handheld for $1,000, which is releasing in a week or two. Sony also jumped on the greed bandwagon, raising console prices, subscription prices, and teasing the next generation of consoles, despite the current generation, the PS5, having about 12 exclusives in total. And I'm sure half of these are probably remasters of The Last of Us. And just when you think things couldn't get any worse, EA gets bought out by private equity. And private equity entering the gaming market at such a scale sounds about as exciting as getting your scrotum waxed in a hot sauna. So how did we get here? Well, there's two big reasons for this. First, the ability to hide. Since 2020, most gaming events and announcements have moved from in-person to online, meaning there's no real audience to interact with. This has allowed companies to completely avoid real backlash, because instead of getting the rotten tomato treatment, they just simply log off and wait for the rage to subside before repeating the cycle again just in time to get their annual bonuses. Speaking of bonuses, this brings me to my second point: how executives and decision makers are getting paid. Gone are the days of large fixed salaries. What we're seeing right now is a greater portion of their income coming from stocks, shares, and bonus options, meaning their paychecks are tied into profits and the share price. Gaming execs don't work for us, the gamers. Rather, they work for the shareholders. So a happy gaming community means less than nothing to them. So what can we actually do about it? Whilst the gaming landscape might look pretty bleak right now, there's actually a slither of hope. The most powerful and impactful thing we can do right now is vote with our wallets. Support studios and companies that respect the fans that keep them alive. If enough people unite and stop feeding the greed machine, these companies will have no choice but to stop or risk going out of business. So the best thing we can do is be wiser with how we spend our money and which companies we choose to support. This is partially correct. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.